Is your debt causing you sleepless nights? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. And your debt won't be the only thing keeping you up at night. Debt KO, free impartial advice on all your debt.
This is something that comes along every now and then in generation, and it's special.
Razavan IFL TV in association with MTK Global. With me on Zoom today, my man, Mr. Sam Jones. Sam, happy Sunday. How are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you for jumping on, giving me a little bit of your time. Today, Sam, there's a lot happening in boxing at the moment. Firstly, how's the week been since you successfully defeated Daniel Dubois? And I mean by a team, obviously, as a result.
Yeah. It's just been. I'm busy, mate. Like I've not really had. I've watched the fight back a couple of times because obviously it's great to watch. It's great to always watch it back. But yeah, I'm busy because I've got a lot of stuff. Myself and the team have got a lot of things going on at the moment. So it's really, really exciting. Joe's relaxing in Dubai, well-earned break, and hopefully he'll be in a big fight come early April.
I just want to touch on, obviously news broke yesterday. Frank Warren, obviously, I'm sure you've seen the interview on IFL where he talked about the report that came out, and the doctor said that if Dubois basically continued, he would have gone blind for life, potentially ending his career. Now, I know you're one of those people that came out and said, listen, give credit where credit is due. Let's not look at the injury itself because it was caused by the work of Joyce. And obviously you sent your well wishes to Dubois as well. But just going, now that we have received the report and the facts are clear, do other people in the background, fighters, promoters, managers, whoever they are, who were the whole week criticizing Dubois, have to take a bit of responsibility and say, whoa, I got it wrong?
Listen, everyone's entitled to their opinion. It's an opinion sport, isn't it? It's an opinion sport, and it always will be. Daniel Dubois did what? Listen, the fight was only going one way. Joe, the whole game plan was to dictate, was to win the battle of the jabs and to stop him in the last 3 rounds. That was always the game plan, and it was only going one way. And look, he's 23. He's 23 years old. He'll come back, but time to concentrate on the winner now, which is Joyce. It's not a coincidence what happened to Dubois, sadly. It's not a coincidence. Joe's done it to Ian Lewison, Stiverne, and now Dubois. So it's not a coincidence of Joe breaking bones in people's faces, essentially. It's just not a coincidence. Joe's very, very heavy-handed, although it may not seem it the way his style is. But Joe has, if you ask anybody that's been in the ring with him, He's incredibly heavy-handed.
Frank confirmed that Joe signed an extension to his agreement with himself and Queensbury. Could you just comment on that? Is that true?
It was from my understanding, there's a few month extension, but to be honest, that's something that Adam and the team deals Adam and the team deals with. So you're best off asking Adam about stuff like that. So he's the man for the contracts.
Are you now looking at your eyes focus on next Saturday? Anthony Joshua returns, Kubrat Pulev. We're not sure what the WBO are going to do. I'm not sure if you know what they're going to do. Are they going to call for an immediate mandatory with Usyk? Yeah, are they going to corner?
Yeah, they are. They are. This is exactly what I spoke to Frank yesterday. And my understanding is that they are going to call the mandatory instantly. So selfishly, we hope Anthony vacates. Because look, I'm not even saying this on a selfish point of view for Joe. I'm saying it as a boxing fan. I don't want to see Joshua against Usyk. I want to see Joshua against Tyson Fury, along with the rest of the world. And I don't particularly care what belts are on the line. It doesn't matter if they're boxing for no belts. People consider those two boys the premier heavyweights. So that's the fight that the fans and they want to see. I'm speaking as a fan. I want to see that fight, and obviously that's great news for Joe. As I would like to think, it's not a foregone conclusion, but I would like to think that we would get the fight with Usyk for the vacant belt.
Is that the target with Usyk for the vacant belt? Is that the goal?
Yeah. Listen, no one can question Joe anymore. Joe will fight anybody. But yeah, of course, that's the fight that we want. It's a great fight. It's an intriguing fight. It's a rematch in the WSB. Usyk got the better of Joe in the WSB. We believe it's a different fight in the pros. 12 rounds, small gloves, and you'll see a different Joe Joyce in that fight than you saw the one that faced Dubois, because Usyk requires a completely different tactic and style to beat him. But we believe Joe's got the beating of him.
Worst case scenario, if Anthony Joshua does get to fight Tyson Fury for the undisputed clash, would you then consider Usyk for a fight without the belt?
Yeah, Usyk wouldn't consider fighting Joe without a belt on the line. There's no way. You're not fighting Joe Joyce unless it's for a reason, even now. But would we? No, the fight doesn't really make sense without the belt on the line, doesn't it? It doesn't really make sense. But we will fight whoever as I said, I've put loads of polls on in the press. I said, like, who does the fans want to see Joe fight? And whoever wins those polls, I have every intention of trying to make that fight, because it's a fan sport, and Joe's all about just giving the fans what they want. So we will ask the fans who they want to see Joe fight. But what he won't do, he won't sit on the sidelines and wait, because Joe isn't like that. Joe wants to fight, and Joe will be out in April.
Yesterday, Anthony Yarde, Lyndon Arthur. How did you score the fight initially?
Do you know what? Right, I was scoring the fight really harshly against Arthur because of the fact that he's on. I know it's a neutral show, but it's kind of not, because Anthony, same as Joe and Dubois. Dubois the home guy, and that's just the way it is. And then Lyndon Arthur is, even though he was the champion, he was the away fighter. So all the close rounds, which they were all close, but the really close rounds I was giving to Yarde, because I thought this is the way. But I thought, if I'm honest, I thought Lyndon Arthur controlled the fight with his jab. I thought if anybody deserved the nod, it would have been Arthur, but I did actually score it a draw.
We obviously saw Anthony Yarde wasn't happy at the end, rightfully so. He lost the fight. But could you understand his frustration? He felt like he was more conclusive in his power punching, in his come forward attacks, etc.
Do you know what? With Anthony, his frustration shouldn't have been at the result. It should have been, like, to be honest, in my opinion, his own performance, because I think that he should have pushed the fight more. Look what he did in round 12. He was fantastic in round 12. Why didn't he do that earlier? Why didn't he push the fight earlier? The result probably could have been different. But jabs are scoring punches. You can't say jabs aren't scoring punches. It is a scoring punch, and Lyndon Arthur controlled the fight. And as I say, if anybody deserved the nod in that fight, in my opinion, it should have been Lyndon. But if the judges would have given it slightly to Yarde, I wouldn't have had really a problem with it, because it was a close fight. But that 117-111 scorecard, nobody beat anybody 117-111. It wasn't. Yarde didn't beat Lyndon by that amount, and Lyndon didn't beat Yarde by that amount. I don't understand how anybody can come up with a scorecard like that. I don't, but it's the world we live in, isn't it? So, but listen, Yarde needs to come back strong. He's had a horrible year, like the loss of his family members. I mean, unimaginable pain that he's been in with that. So maybe that had a part to play. I don't know Anthony personally. I've met him a good few times. He's a really great guy, and I wish him all the best. I want it because he's a super talent. He's a really, really good talent. So I hope he fulfills all his potential. But I thought the cause of Robbery were way off. I thought it was a very close fight. One that Lyndon Arthur was the boss in there with the jab. He got yes, Yarde probably landed the more eye-catching shots, but there wasn't enough of them. Lyndon was popping his head constantly, like he was just pinging him for 12 rounds. The only round that Lyndon conclusively lost was the 12th round.
Sam, we live in this Floyd Mayweather era where the zero is so protected by fighters. And when fighters do go into these 50-50 fights, like we saw last week with Dubois Joyce, like we saw yesterday with Arthur and Yarde, fans are just too critical. Anthony Yarde obviously hasn't had a great amateur career. He's relatively still learning on the job in the professional ranks, and he's got a hell of a career still to come. Does he need to just keep his head up, ignore the criticism? Because unfortunately, we live in this world where that's always going to be there.
Yeah, listen, I said the other day, like, people should take risks. Look what Joe did, Lyndon did. Like, put it on the line. Put it on the line, because there's big rewards in boxing if you get there. Now look where Lyndon is, look where Joe is. It's people should look to people like Lyndon and Joe and think, flipping heck, I'm going to do that. Get involved in 50-50s. And listen, credit to Frank Warren, because he's put on these shows, and they are 50-50, these 50-50 shows, because you don't see a lot of it in boxing. So credit does have to be given to Frank there, because he didn't have to put his top boys in with Lyndon Arthur and Joe. But yeah, Anthony, of course he can come back. He's a star, like he's a proper star, but he can't say, oh, robbery. Like, that's just my opinion. He can't just say, oh no, I was robbed. No, you wasn't robbed. You have to make adjustments. And I didn't feel he did make the adjustments until the last round, and it was too late, in my opinion.
Sam, like you said, we've had an awful 2020. Hopefully, good news is fans are back from next week. We also were hoping Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren are going to have this nice little dinner and lunch and get some big fights made together and work together. It looks like that's not going to happen. We saw Eddie's comments about Dubois. We saw Frank Warren.
I'll sit in the middle of it. I'll referee it. They should meet, and I'll sit in the middle of it.
And I'll record it. How's that?
And you can record it, yeah.
Frank mentioned this week, a couple of days ago, Eddie's a moron for what he said about Dubois. He needs to apologize. Eddie's come out and said, well, you know, he's just thinking about me all the time. Do these two need to just realize it's about the fighters? Can we not just get together? It's about. I
think they do realize. Listen, it is about the fighters at the end of the day. It's just the fact that they're never ever going to be sending each other Christmas cards, are they? But I think that if they work together, the better the sport can be, because it's listen. If them two work together, the better the fights will be. Like, is there some crossover fights? I mean, some of the crossover fights are probably out the window now, because I think Yarde got beat, so the fans wanted to see Yarde Buatsi, but that fight's a way off now, because people might want to see Lyndon Arthur against Buatsi now. So look, hopefully they can squash their beef for the good of the sport, but I can't see it happening anytime soon. And if they do go for dinner, I just want to be there when it happens with my popcorn and my 3D glasses.
We'll all like to be there. Let's hope that happens. Sam, always a pleasure, my man. Thank you so much for jumping on this afternoon for a few minutes. And yeah, we'll catch up with you hopefully before the end of the year.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate it. Take care.
Jones, IFL TV. Thank you very much.
This is something that comes along every now and then in generation, and it's special.
Is your debt causing you sleepless nights? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. And your debt won't be the only thing keeping you up at night. Debt KO, free impartial advice on all your debt.